Welcome students in the class of MA Final English Literature, paper second, 19th century English Literature. Today's topic is Lord Alfred Tennyson's poem, The Lady of Shalott. We will discuss today this poem, The Lady of Shalott, and especially our importance will be upon the critical analysis of the poem Lady of Shalott. I am Dr. Sumer Singh, Department of English, Government Lohia College, Suru. So let's we start today's topic. Lord Alfred Tennyson, The Lady of Shalott. The Lady of Shalott is one of the most important poems of Lord Alfred Tennyson. As we know that Tennyson is the representative poet of Victorian age and he is regarded as the voice of Victorian age in England. His poetry is marked with the spirit of Victorianism and of his age. The Lady of Shalott is a important poem, or we can say one of the representative poems of Lord Alfred Tennyson. First of all, we will discuss the introduction of poet, or we can say that we will discuss Tennyson as a poet. Lord Alfred Tennyson is one of the most important poets of English literature, and as we know that he is the representative poet of his age. As a poet, he represents his age not in fragments, not in piece or not in partiality, but completely. So we can say that Tennyson is regarded as a true representative poet of Victorian age. Therefore, W.J. Long, important critic and historian of English literature, calls Tennyson as the most representative literary man of the Victorian era. So he is regarded as the most important representative of Victorian era in history of English literature. He may be writing of himself, of his personal joys and sorrows, but even then he writes of his age and renders its chief characteristics. So we can say in all his poetry, there are the characteristics of Victorian era or Victorian poetry. His work is an authentic epitome of all the important features of his age. Whatever be our estimate regarding his greatness as a poet, and most modern critics are convinced of his mediocrity, there can be no doubt about the representative value of his works. He is as a good representative and chronicler of his age as Chaucer, Spenser, Pope were of their own respective ages. So we can say that as a age representative poet, he is equal to Chaucer and Pope because Chaucer is also regarded as the we can say that delineator of 14th century England. Alexander Pope is regarded as the representative poet or the delineator of the neoclassical age or 18th century. In the same sense, Lord Alfred Tennyson is also the delineator, is also the representative poet of his own age, that is Victorian age in English literature. In his poetry, he kept pace with the changing times. So we can say that whatever changes occurred in Victorian age, all the changes, all the things properly represented by Tennyson in his poetry. So all the faith, all the belief, all the tendencies, or we can say all the social changes, economical changes are represented truly into his poetry. Therefore, he is regarded as a representative poet of his age in a true sense. Stafford Brook, important critic says, for more than, I quote the words of Stafford Brook, quote, for more than 60 years he lived close to the present life of England as far as he was capable of comprehending and sympathizing with its movement, and he invoked what he felt concerning into his poetry. In this way, we can say that he involved into his poetry or he wrote into his poetry what was happening into the Victorian society or into the Victorian life. It doesn't mean, however, that he had no individuality of his own. He did have individuality, though it was not alone, but also the ethos of his age that found utterance in his poetry. So we can say that Tennyson also wrote about his personal joys, sorrows, but at the same time, he also represented the Victorian spirit of the English society. He was the poet laureate, He has been the he was the poet laureate, or he had been the poet laureate during the rule of Queen Victoria. Queen Victoria ruled over England for a for a long period, and during that long period, Tennyson also remained as a poet laureate, as the important poet of England. But we can even call him the national poet. We also call him as a national poet because truly he represented his own time, and therefore he is regarded as the poet of Victorian compromise. The term Victorian compromise is given to the poetry of Tennyson especially because he compromised, he limited himself or his poetic career to the time of Victorian era. Therefore, without any hesitation, we can say that he is a true national poet of England at that time. He indeed fixed for the future generation the essence and the spirit of his age. So, in this way, we can say that Tennyson is not only the important poets of English literature, but the representative and the true poet of Victorian era in the history of English literature. And as a poet, we can say that his poetry is famous for the music, melody, the beautiful description of nature, the artistic excellence. So, these are the qualities of his poetry. And in the history of English literature, Ulysses, Tithonus, lot of his eaters, Break Break, Marina are the important poems. Today, we will discuss the important theme, the summary of the poem, The Lady of Shalott. Lady of Shalott is prescribed in our syllabus. So, the poem Lady of Shalott is one of the important poems of Tennyson. Its setting is medieval. So, we can say that there is the importance, there is the use of mythical stories and folklore into the poetry of Tennyson. Ulysses and Tithonus are the mythological legendary heroes. Upon the adventure action of these heroes, he wrote beautiful dramatic monologues. So this poem is also based upon the we can say medieval story, or there is a medievalism in this poem. During the days of King Arthur, near Camelot is the island of Shalott. So there is a island of Shalott near Camelot where a beautiful young maiden is imprisoned. So it is the story of a beautiful young maiden, beautiful young girl. She was imprisoned. The Lady of Shalott must not look at Camelot. So while he was in her imprison, or while he was imprisoned, she never looked towards that town, towards that place named Camelot, because there was a fear into his heart that if I will look towards the city, then there will be a misfortune, then there will be a great tragedy into my life. So that was a we can say deep fear lurked into her heart. So she never looked towards that city, but she kept herself inside the four walls of that room or that chamber, but can only see what is reflected in a mirror as she walks on weaving a magical web. So the lady would pass her time by weaving a magical web, or by weaving a magical curtain. So this was the passing of her time, and this was the only work, this was the only action she would do while she kept herself into that room. So, and she never looked outside. She would see whatever is reflected into the mirror hung on the wall of her room or her chamber. So, the outward scenes and sights were reflected in that mirror, and in that mirror, she would see what is happening outside. So, this was the tragic life, we can say. This was the a lonely life, tragic life, alienated life of that young lady. If she looks at Camelot, she would be cursed. So it was the belief of that lady that if I will look outside, if I will look towards that city, then there will be a great misfortune, there will be a great tragedy into my life, and I will be totally ruined. The poem is written in four parts. There are the four parts important. We can say that fragments of four fragments of this poem. Each stanza, each part. So if you can say each stanza has 9 lines that are written with rhyme scheme of AA, AA, BC, CC, B. In many of the stanzas, the last line reads the Lady of Shalott. So this is the quality of a very melodious poem. This is the quality of a beautiful lyric that in each and every stanza, a particular line, whether it is the opening line or whether it is the concluding line, repeats regularly. So it enhances the musical quality of a poem. So we can say Tennyson's poem is also well known for the melody and musical quality. So this line, the Lady of Shalott, repeats or reoccurring at the end of every stanza. Tennyson repeats her name over and over to emphasize both her person and tragic circumstances. So we can say the repetition of the same line, the Lady of Shalott, also enhances the tragic sense of the life of that lady or the importance of the name of that lady, that is the Lady of Shalott. When we finish reading the poem, we remember her name, the hauntingly beautiful image she portrays. In the part 1, in the first part, we are introduced mystery of the young lady who is imprisoned on the island of Shalott in the middle of a river that flows down to Camelot. So the lady was imprisoned in a room in a castle, and around that castle there is a river, and the river is flowing towards the city of Camelot. Towards that city, the lady is not doomed to see, because she believes that there will be a curse into my life if I will see towards the city named Camelot. The Lady of Shalott uh, spends her time weaving a magic web with colors gay. It means what is the time pass, or we can say what is the action, what is the we can say the lady do inside that chamber. The action, the activity is that she is continuously weaving a web. She is continuously weaving a curtain of her own gay, of her own color, of her own tragic color, we can say. She has heard a whisper telling her that if she looks at Camelot, she will be cursed. So this kind of we can say a magical whispering, this kind of a mysterious whispering coming into her ears that you must not see towards that city, you must not look outside the room, otherwise there will be a tragedy, otherwise there will be a misfortune into her life. So this is the deep fear into her heart, or this is the tragedy of that lady, that she has to live inside the four walls of that chamber. She doesn't know what the curse will be. And it is also important thing that the lady doesn't know what kind of misfortune, what kind of tragedy will take place if she will look towards the city or outside the room. But takes care not to look. However, she looks into a clear mirror in front of her that somehow reflects the coming and going of Camelot. So whatever is happening outside this room, outside the castle, is reflected into that mirror, and the lady looks towards the mirror for the view of outside, but she never peep out from the window of her chamber. Yes, the mirror is her only link to the outside world. So we can say that the mirror which is hanging on the wall is the link between the Lady of Shalott and the outside world. But what she sees, funerals in the mirror. Sometimes she sees funerals, young lovers, makes her discontent with the shadow images of the mirror. She longs for something that is real, saying, I am half sick of shadows. So she also realizes her condition, that what is the condition of that lady. In this section, we see a lengthy description of Sir Lancelot. Sir Lancelot is also important personality, important character delineated by Tennyson, and he is delineated as a bold soldier, as a general of army, and the Lady Shalott falls in love at first sight with Sir Lancelot. He is described as a bold or as a brave personality with shield and armor, because he is a general of a army, he is a soldier, so he is with shield and armor, uh, almost like a star in a galaxy. So he was a great personality, attractive personality. His helmet has a feather, his saddle jewels. He is astonishingly handsome. Astonishingly handsome, it means attractive person with uh, coal black curls, and he catches the heart of the Lady of Shalott as he rides by the bank of the river singing tirara, lirara, tirara. So the person is, or we can say the general of army is singing a very important music and singing an important love song. and the lady was attracted, and she was charmed by the beautiful, handsome personality or the important song of that Sir Lancelot. This young woman is so taken, or we can say so charmed, attracted by Sir Lancelot, that she stops her walk and looks at Camelot. So this is the first chance, this is the first time the lady was disturbed from her walk, that is weaving a magical web. And first time the lady forgot her fear that I should not or I must not look towards the city Camelot, but she was so attracted, she was so allured towards the personality and the love song of Sir Lancelot. So she looked towards the city Camelot, though she risked the mysterious curse. Whether there will be the curse, whether there will be the tragedy, but she didn't care for that, and she looked towards the city. The mirror actually breaks, and suddenly the mirror breaks down, and her web is either thrown out of the window, and the web, the curtain which was she weaving, that was thrown outside the window with a gust of wind, where it floats down down the river, or magically floats out of the window on its own. The Lady of Shalott realizes she is cursed, and this incident happened. Then the lady realizes that I am cursed, and this was the tragedy which would to take in my life, and this curse has happened or took place into my life. The weather is extremely bad, stormy, but the Lady of Shalott uh, 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 rushes down to the banks of the river, finds a boat, and inscribes her name around the edge of it. She then enters, and the boat, wearing a flowing white dress, begins to float downstream towards Camelot at sunset. She sings as she floats onward. Others hear a carol, mournful, holy song that she chanted loudly. It must have been terribly cold out, because the poor woman freezes to death before she reaches the first house in Camelot. In this way, the lady moved towards the city Camelot, and she reached towards the port, or we can say towards the dock uh, uh, at the beach of the sea. The lord and ladies of Camelot, the citizens and the people of Camelot, all came out from their houses and looked at her, dead and lovely in the boat. She was a dead, and a lovely lady is dead into the boat. So this was the tragedy of that lady. They read her name, that was engraved, that was spelled by lady on the boat, crossed themselves in fear. Who is this woman? And they asked to each other that who is this lady, from where the lady has come, and who is this woman, what happened with this lady. Then in a moment of irony, Sir Lancelot himself goes down next to her and says she has a lovely face. So Sir Lancelot came to the dead body of that lady, and he bowed down, and he said that she was a lovely face. God, in His mercy, lent her grace, the Lady of Shalott. In this way, He tells the name of this lady, that this is the Lady of Shalott, and God gifted a very beautiful personality to this lady. Thus, the poem Lady of Shalott can be interpreted in many different ways, but let's first take a look at the story of face value. The Lady of Shalott is mysteriously imprisoned on a remote island in the middle of a river. She knows uh, she knows she will be cursed unless she fulfill what she has been given to do. Weave a magic web, ignore the world beyond, accept a view in its shadow, but she becomes restless of the shadow. She longs for real relationship, particularly love. Then she sees Sir Lancelot. So it is the story of a lady named the Lady of Shalott. So we can say Tennyson wrote this poem upon a mythological story, or upon a medieval story, and it is a very important story of a lady, because the tragedy of a lady is presented, alienation, a lonely life of a lady presented in this poem, that how she was imprisoned in a castle, and what happened with this lady at the end, and how the curse, how the misfortune happened or took place into her life, uh, uh, for which she was so feared, for which she was so serious during her life. So, this is the poem Lady of Shalott. Thank you very much. In the next class, we will discuss the another topic or the another poem of Alfred Lord Tennyson. Thank you.